Hey everyone, and welcome to this video. Now I wanted to just put a video together that gave you 3 crucial tips on how to master the ignore file. Now the gitignore file is a text file that tells Git which files or folders to ignore in a project. So if we go to the root of any project you have, for example this is a React project, we'll create a new file and we'll do .gitignore. And it's as simple as that. We've now created our very own gitignore file. Now this is a local one to this project alone. You can also create a global gitignore file, and any entries in that file will be ignored by all your Git repositories. But this is our local one, and it works like this. Anything that you want to ignore in the project, you have to add on a new line. So, for example, if we want to ignore our node modules folder, we simply type in node modules. If we want to ignore all kinds of a certain particular type of file, for example, a .text file, then all we simply do is we put a star in front and it goes ahead and it ignores all the text files in all the projects in all the folders. So some best practices are like ignoring your .env file. So this contains your server information, your API keys, all the stuff that you kind of don't want to commit. I do have a video that shows you how to hide that particular file a lot better, and it shows you how to access that information as well. So I'll leave a link to those videos either above or in the description. So what we've got here is a basic setup. If you are a Mac user, I would also add this one as well, and that essentially ignores Mac system files. So put that here, ignores Mac system files. Then obviously this ignores the node modules folder, ignores all text files. If you're using SAS as in SASS and not SCSS, you can ignore the config files for that. So that would be SAS cache, which is always a good one to ignore. But yeah, that's essentially how the gitignore file works locally. If you haven't ever used it, I'd certainly have a play around with it, and then try and do a commit. So if, for example, we create a .env file and we'll just put in API key equals 123, we can see that if we check out our changes, it's not actually showing up in the change list. But if we go here and we delete that, and then we have a look, you can see the .env file then becomes available. So very handy, very cool. And if you are working on a project and you want to keep it clean with your commits and have a clean repository, definitely use this. And the second tip I'm going to show you is how to change your global gitignore file. So you can basically standardize your Git experience across all projects. So you have an idea of what you want and don't want on all projects, and you can have that set. So the way we do that is we first create a global ignore file via this command here. So git config global, and then we're going to create our gitignore global file. Now what this will do is this will create our gitignore global file. We can go check that out now. So if we go to, we have that here. And we can start just editing away. So if we want to add, .ds underscore store or node modules, we can do, because I will always ignore those. And once we're done, we'll just quit the file. Brilliant. So that's how you amend your global gitignore files. Now the third trick is how to untrack files that have previously been committed from a new gitignore. So to untrack a single file but not delete it from system use. So for example, if you are ignoring a file, a particular type of file, like a .text file, a .text file for a certain while, and then you decide, you know what, I don't actually want to be ignoring these text files anymore, but I've actually committed the changes up. Well, this is how we sort that out. It could have been in a commit, it could have been in anything, but essentially this is the command, and you put in the text name that you want, and then you can go untrack it. So we can test that out by if we create a new file. So we create example.js and we'll put console.log example. I mean, you don't really need to have anything in here, but we go back to terminal. And if we say GST, we can see that we can actually see the example.js showing there. So we'll add git example, and we'll set a commit message as well. And we'll just put test file. So now we have committed that, but if we want to get back that file, essentially we'll have to put this command in. We want to git remove a cached file or a staging file, and we want it to be example.js. So we do that. So what it's essentially done is it's removed it from the staging area, and it's actually kept it. So normally when you use RM, you're usually trying to delete something, you know, like your node modules folder or your package log.json. But this actually ends up keeping it. And you can do that for your entire commit. So for example, if you want to get several files that you've committed, you simply type in that and it will just get everything, you know, it will blanket do it. And that's essentially it. So it's a pretty handy tip to get around gitignore, play around with it. Once you learn these 3 tips, you'll feel far more comfortable. And that's essentially how you master gitignore. So if you found that useful, please do like and subscribe, and stick around for the next one.